For me, the 1980s were a very toxic period for human rights in general, but particularly for LGBT plus human rights.
Pretty difficult time, but actually for a small number of us who were lesbian and gay activists at that time, we had a whale of a time in somewhere like London, because despite all the rules, despite all the stigma, despite all the legal disadvantages, despite the ridiculously unequal age of consent for gay men, we were a tribe. We hung together, and actually the lesbian and gay world could almost be divided into the activists and the rest. And the activists, we all wore double denim, which is a terrible crime now, but then was the height of fashion. But a large chunk of the 80s, people like me were having a lot of fun being activists in a tiny bubble where we protested about the people who were having a hard time, but we'd set up quite nice lives for ourselves where most of the time, apart from queer bashing, we were actually having quite a nice time. So when someone says to me, "Oh, thank you for being a martyr for the cause," martyrdom was not part of it, honey. You know, I was having a very good time because I had the education and the gumption and the character just of the way I was as a human being to make a safe structure for myself for 99% of the time.
The positive things about the 80s were the huge explosion in LGBT plus activism. The way in which people who had never previously been involved came together and helped row back eventually the awful homophobia, biphobia and transphobia of that era. That led to the formation of Stonewall, the LGBT lobby group in 1989, and the following year of OutRage, the LGBT direct action group, both of which spearheaded the fight during the 1990s and beyond to overturn the damage done by the Thatcher years and to win the gains we now have secured.
You know, and I think Section 28 made me realise there were a lot of people out there who gay activists like me should stop sneering at as the straight gays and actually start working with and start supporting, because, and it's true now as it was then, most LGBT people just want to have a straightforward life. They don't want to have to get out on the streets and scream.
The 80s were also a great time for LGBT plus pop stars and music. So we had the Communards, Boy George, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Mark Almond, Andy Bell and Erasure. The list is endless. It was a golden era in terms of LGBT plus music.